There's a boy at the bottom of a pit, a dry cistern near Dothan, empty, which is the only reason he's alive. He is 17. A few minutes ago, he was wearing a coat so famous it had its own reputation. It's gone, stripped off him by the brothers who put him down the hole. He can hear them up there. They're eating lunch. That detail is in the text, and it's the one I can never get past. Their little brother is screaming out of a hole in the ground. Years later, the brothers admit it. They heard him beg and would not listen, and they sit down within earshot of it and pass the bread. Then, on the horizon, dust, a caravan, Ishmaelite traders, and one of the brothers looks at the caravan and looks at the hole and has an idea. His name is Judah. Kings will be named after this man. The tribe of the Messiah will carry his name, and his entrance onto the stage of history is this. What will we gain if we kill our brother? Come, let's sell him to the Ishmaelites. After all, he is our brother, our own flesh and blood. Read that twice. The appeal to profit, the appeal to squeamishness dressed as conscience, and the crowning touch, family feeling, deployed in the act of selling a family member. On screen, each word fading up as spoken and staying. Grace, power, providence. Quick word if you're new. This series walks the genealogy at the start of Matthew's Gospel, the list of names most people skip. One guest at a time. 3 threads run through every episode. Grace, power, and providence. Last time Jacob. And a limp. Today is a double bill. 2 guests, 1 story told twice. His way, then hers. And the second telling detonates the first. That's not a twist, it's the architecture. People call what Judah does here his mercy. He did, technically, talk the others down from murder. But, let's be adults. 20 shekels of silver changed hands. And the brothers went home and did the goat trick. Of course it's a goat. In this family, it is always a goat. They dipped the famous coat in goat's blood and sent it to their father. Then they watched their father refuse all comfort and say he'd go down to the grave mourning. For years. Judah's mercy is the mercy of a man who prefers his crimes at one remove. So, what does a man do after that? Genesis tells us, and it's pitch perfect. He leaves. At that time, Judah left his brothers, south, away from the father whose grief he manufactured. He marries a Canaanite woman whose name the text doesn't bother to record. You know this move. When the thing you've done is unbearable and unconfessable, you don't repent. Repentance is expensive. You relocate. And it doesn't work, because the man who moves is the man who did it. He packs himself. 3 sons come quickly. Onan, Shelah. Then Judah arranges a marriage for his firstborn to a local woman named Tamar. Watch what happens to her now from the outside, from his side, because how this man managed not to see her is the engine of everything that follows. What follows is grim, and the text handles it with unnerving brevity. Judah's firstborn was wicked in the Lord's sight, so the Lord put him to death. 1 verse. We're not told what he did, only that Tamar is now a childless widow. 1 piece of ancient machinery, or nothing else makes sense. If a man died childless, his brother was obliged to marry the widow, and the first son counted as the dead man's son. His name lived, and the widow got a child, and with a child, a future. So Judah, correctly, sends his second son, and Onan works out the maths. Any son he gives Tamar won't count as his. Worse, that son absorbs the inheritance that otherwise falls to Onan. So he takes everything the arrangement offers and delivers nothing it requires. Repeated, deliberate, sustained. He used the woman, defrauded the widow, dishonored the dead brother. In private, indefinitely, wearing the public costume of a man doing his duty. Generations of readers have made that passage about something else entirely. Onan's sin was exploitation, 2 sons dead. And here Judah's story turns from failings into sin. 1 son left, Shelah. Custom, duty, and plain decency all point one way. Tamar is owed the 3rd brother. And Judah is afraid. He may die too, just like his brothers. 2 of his boys have died in this woman's bed, and Judah has concluded that she is the problem. Not whom God's own narrator called wicked. Not Onan, the woman. She's unlucky. She's dangerous. She's the oldest trick of the powerful, at kitchen table scale, to blame for what was done to her. But he doesn't say it. Saying it would be honest, and honesty has costs. Instead, live as a widow in your father's house until my son Sheila grows up. He has no intention of coming for her. The text says so, flatly. A lie with a calendar attached, engineered so no single day ever arrives on which it officially becomes a lie. And time does Judah's dirty work, the way the Ishmaelites once did. Take the measure of it. Widowed twice, childless, blamed in the family's private mythology for both deaths. Sent back to her father's house, which sounds cozy and was a demotion into non-personhood. She can't remarry. She's bound to Sheila, pledged to a boy who'll never be sent. She can't have children. Same reason. No income, no standing to sue, and no future except decades of this, and then an unmarked grave. And every door out of that room is held shut by one man. One sentence. Sheila, it's time. And her whole life unlocks. He owes it to her by law, by custom, and by the honor of his own dead sons. And he has decided, comfortably, at a distance, never to say it. A brother sold into a caravan is a crime with adrenaline in it. What Judah does to Tamar is the other kind. Committed by omission, in installments, with plausible deniability. Years pass. Judah's wife dies too. And after the mourning, he goes up the road to Timnah for the shearing. And that's his version. That's where his side of it gets you to. Now, everything you've just watched, you watch from over Judah's shoulder. That's how Genesis tells it, and that's how I've told it. Which means you have just spent time inside a story in which a woman is a problem happening to a man. So we're going to run it again. This is Tamar. You haven't seen her until the second. Not once. Every frame she's been in, she's been turned away or too far off, or replaced by an object, a hanging garment, a worn threshold. Here she is, same years, same events, from inside them. A young Canaanite woman, local, ordinary, chosen by Judah for her suitability, which in that world meant health, family, and the prospect of sons. Her first husband was a man heaven itself couldn't tolerate, and when he died, nobody said what a mercy for the girl. They said the girl is unlucky. Then Onan. And read that marriage from inside it this time, because the first time we read it off a ledger, the arrangement at least meant something. A son, counted as heirs, yes, but hers, her place in the world, her old age, her name spoken after she's gone. Every night carried that promise, and every night Onan made sure the promise died. Not one betrayal, a rolling one, indefinitely renewed, wearing duty's face by a man who smiled at the family table. Then Onan dies too. 2 husbands, 2 graves, no children. In a world innocent of germ theory and addicted to omens, Tamar is now, socially speaking, radioactive, and the phrase follows her for life. Then Judah's sentence, dressed as protection, functioning as disposal. Sent back, a returned bride, publicly demoted, to wait for a boy who'll never be sent. Bound by that engagement so she can never marry another, and barred by it from ever bearing a child. Years. She watched Sheila grow up. She saw the marriage never come. And here's the making of her, so don't miss it. Somewhere in that long imprisonment, Tamar stopped waiting for the system to work and started studying it. The customs, the obligations, the law of the pledge, and one subject above all, the character of her father-in-law. What he notices and what he overlooks, what he wants and what he'll pay, and the one fact she's about to weaponize, that Judah has never really looked at her. The men in the story kept mistaking her stillness for defeat. It was reconnaissance. Then, one shearing season, the pieces align. Word comes up the road. Your father-in-law is going to Timnah to shear his sheep. And crucially, Judah's wife has died. He's a widower, past mourning, traveling, festive and flush. And something in Tamar goes quiet and hard, and she takes off the widow's clothes. Be precise, because this is routinely misdescribed. She did not become a prostitute. She impersonated one, once for one afternoon, for one customer, the way a detective goes undercover, as access to a man unreachable by every legitimate route. The veil wasn't seduction, In her world, it was anonymity. She was setting a trap for exactly one man, baited with his own appetites and sprung by his own blindness. She chose the place, the fork in the road to Timnah, the junction everyone has to pass. Its name is Enaim, which means roughly the opening of the eyes. And consider what had to go right. He had to stop. He had to fail to recognize her. She was gambling that a man who'd spent years not seeing her would extend the courtesy once more. She had to conceive from a single encounter and then survive what came next, because she could see it in advance. A pregnancy in a woman bound to Shelah is adultery, and the penalty is death. Her plan required her to walk into a capital charge, on purpose. Judah comes up the road, sees a veiled woman at the wayside, and the text is economical and devastating. He thought she was a prostitute, for she had covered her face. He turns aside and opens negotiations with all the romance of a man buying a donkey. She names her price by asking his. "What will you give me?" "A young goat," he says. Of course it's a goat. At this point, the goats of Genesis deserve billing in the credits. But the goat's with the flock. He'll have to send it on. "Fine," she says. "Will you give me a pledge until you send it?" Collateral, standard practice. And Judah, festive, incautious, in a hurry, asks the question that will save her life. "What pledge should I give you?" Her answer is instant, because it was composed weeks ago. A cylinder seal, worn on a cord, was rolled into wet clay to sign documents. A man's legal signature, unique and unforgeable. His staff was the badge of his household. They weren't some collateral. They were his identity, the equivalent of asking a man for his passport and his signed confession, to hold until the goat arrives. And Judah hands them over. He hands a stranger at a crossroads the power to sign his name, because he wants what he wants, and it's sharing season. The narrator does not editorialize. The narrator has never needed to. The encounter itself, the text covers in a handful of words, and will match its discretion. She conceived, then she rose, went home, put the veil away, and dressed again in her widow's garments, slipping back into invisibility like a knife returning to its sheath, holding in a locked box the seal, the cord, and the staff of Judah. Judah does send the goat by his friend Hirah to redeem the pledge. There's nobody there. Hirah asks the locals delicately after the woman at Enaim, and they reply, in effect, "There's never been any such woman here." Judah's answer is a masterclass in the psychology of reputation. Let her keep what she has, or we shall be a laughingstock. Don't search. Better to lose your legal identity than have people ask why you gave it away. She'd bet on that too, and collected. About 3 months later, long enough for certainty, long enough for showing, Judah is told his daughter-in-law is pregnant and guilty of prostitution. Notice the machinery. Anonymous, communal, instant. The same grapevine that never once carried Judah is defrauding his son's widow. Transmits, Tamar is pregnant at the speed of malice. Systems of honor are like that, everywhere and always. Exquisitely sensitive to women's bodies, serenely blind to men's promises. And Judah, hear this in the voice of a man visibly relieved to have his low opinion confirmed, and the whole inconvenient obligation resolved in one stroke, says 3 words in Hebrew, a death sentence issued from a distance, without a hearing, by the man whose broken promise created the situation. The fastest decision Judah makes in the whole of Genesis. Selling Joseph took a speech. This takes a breath, and the village machinery engages at once. As she was being brought out, stop there. Feel the timing, because Tamar planned this too. She's waited through the accusation and the sentence until she is physically being brought out to die in front of everyone, because she has one shot and it only works in public, where Judah's confession cannot be unsaid. She is spending her own execution as a stage. The nerve of it stops the heart, and she sends him something. A seal, a cord, a staff, and a message. And in the Hebrew, see if you recognize his 2 words. The fuse lit in the cold open detonates here. Same typeface and position as. Say nothing else. The card and the callback do the whole job. The same 2 words Judah sent his father 20 years ago, with a bloodied coat in his hands. His own formula served back to him by the woman he's just sentenced to death. And look at the craft of it, her only recorded words in the whole Bible. She doesn't name him. She doesn't accuse him. She hands him, in front of the assembled community, his own signature and a choice. You identify them. Mercy and checkmate in the same move. She gives him, at her own maximum peril, the one thing he never gave her, the chance to do the right thing himself. And everything arrives at once. What he did at Enaim, who she was, why she was there at all, which drags in Sheila, which drags in the lie, which drags in the years, the caravan, the coat, the goat's blood, his father's face, a lifetime of things done at one remove. Suddenly, here it I in his hand, with the community watching, and a woman whose survival depends on what kind of man he decides, in this second, to be. And Judah, slave trader, liar, coward, the man who has never once taken responsibility for anything, says, in public, "She is more righteous than I." Exhale, she lives. The fire is never lit, and Tamar walks back from the edge of her own execution, vindicated by the mouth of her accuser, carrying the future of the tribe under her heart. And don't slide past the word righteous. It's fixed there forever by patriarchal confession, before witnesses, on a Canaanite widow who impersonated a prostitute to entrap her father-in-law. So the scandal of Genesis 38 isn't what Tamar did. It's that Tamar was the only person in the story upholding the covenant, with a veil and a staff, because truth and patience had been confiscated. And on his side of it, that's the moment the man becomes usable. Not the leadership, not the cleverness, the confession. Judah enters the ancestry of the Messiah through the door marked "She is more righteous than I," through the wreckage of his own reputation, at the hands of the woman he wronged. 6 months later, twins. Because this family does twins, and does them competitively. A hand emerges first, and the midwife ties a scarlet thread round the wrist to mark the firstborn. Then the hand withdraws, and the other twin barges out ahead. And the midwife says, in what I can only read as exhausted delight, "So this is how you have broken out." They name him Perez, breach. Perez, the child of the crossroads, ancestor of Boaz and Jesse and David. And generations later, when the elders of Bethlehem bless a wedding, this is what they say. It's in the book of Ruth. "May your family be like that of Perez, whom Tamar bore to Judah." Tamar, invoked by name, at a wedding, as a blessing. The woman they tried to burn became the benediction. One more receipt, because the confession holds. That's how you know it was real. Years later, famine drives the brothers to Egypt, where the official tormenting them is Joseph himself. His final test frames the youngest brother, Benjamin, and announces that Benjamin alone stays as a slave while the rest go free. It is the pit, rebuilt to specification, and we know what this family does with that choice because Judah wrote the play. And it's Judah who steps forward, the man who sold a brother into slavery, offering himself into slavery to buy a brother back. And the text tells you where that was manufactured. At a fork in the road, in the second his own seal came back to him, in the hand of the woman he'd condemned. And when old Jacob blesses his sons, it's Judah who gets the words the Bible never stops quoting. "The scepter will not depart from Judah, the tribe of kings, the Lion of Judah, granted not to the family's best man, but to its most publicly broken one." Look at the raw material. A man who sold his brother for silver, abandoned a widow to a slow social death, and ordered her burned when his own sin caught up with her. And a woman who got into the family photo by deception and an afternoon's impersonation at a crossroads. Neither is a cautionary footnote in Jesus' family record. They're both in the headline. And grace here refuses to wait for respectable channels, because the respectable channels were the problem. God does not recruit finished people. He recruits people and finishes them, usually in public, usually via someone they were busy underestimating. Judah holds the casting vote over Joseph's life and every exit from Tamar's existence. He fails everyone under it, not through tyranny, but through the small deniable abuses available to ordinary respectable men, the profitable compromise, the promise allowed to lapse, the blame relocated onto the person with no voice. Now inventory Tamar's assets. No husband, no son, no money, no standing, no advocate, no voice, total. And at the end, vindication, survival, motherhood, legacy, and the public moral capitulation of the most powerful man in her world. Not by acquiring power, by reading it, mapping its blind spots, its appetites, and its terrors, and making each one load-bearing in her design. This is the first full portrait of what the powerless do in this family. When the powerful fail them, they outthink the system. And here begins the pattern this series traces all the way to a palace rooftop. Powerful men failing vulnerable women, repeatedly, and the record refusing every time to look away. The widowhood, timed, the road taken, the failure to recognize her, sustained, conception, from one encounter, the confession landing, rather than the fire. Any single link snaps and there's no Perez, no Boaz, no David, no list for Matthew to write, and the text attributes none of it to miracle. God is barely mentioned in Genesis 38 after Onan, and that near silence is the chapter's deepest theology. Providence here doesn't part seas. It hides inside a woman's courage and a plan's odds, indistinguishable. And this is the point, from Tamar simply being right about everything. Matthew is compressing 2,000 years into 17 verses. He could have written Judah, the father of Perez, and glided on, and no reader would have paused. Instead, Judah the father of Perez and Zerah, whose mother was Tamar, by Tamar, 2 words in Greek, and the whole genre detonates. He didn't need her for the legal chain. He chose her, reached past the gallery of impeccable matriarchs, and pulled the crossroads widow into the Messiah's paperwork, by name. There's our running joke again, except by now you can see it was never really a joke. He does it 4 more times. Rahab, Ruth, the wife of Uriah, Mary. So by the time his readers reach a virgin scandalously pregnant in verse 18, the pattern is established 4 times over. God has form when it comes to working through women whose situations look, to the grapevine, exactly like disgrace. And one darker resonance. The tribe's founding story is about selling out your own for silver. And Matthew is writing a gospel in which another man of Judah's line is sold for silver by a friend. This family has always known exactly how betrayal works, from both sides of the transaction. One question. From the junction at Enaim, Tamar's route to vindication ran through the least pious-looking plan in Genesis. A disguise, a deception, a scandal deliberately incurred. Every religious instinct we own would have advised against it. Wait, submit, trust the process. And the process was the machine grinding her to nothing. Meanwhile, the story's actually impious behavior wore respectable clothes and sat at the head of the table. So, where might God be at work in something that doesn't look like piety? In your own life, or, handle this one carefully, in somebody else's, somebody whose survival strategy the grapevine has already filed under disgrace. This story is a standing caution against trusting the costume. Righteousness at Enaim wore a veil, wickedness wore a patriarch's robes and issued verdicts. And what it leaves smoldering is whether we'd have known the difference, whether in the crowd that day we'd have been holding torches. Comments, if you're willing. I read them. Perez grows up. The generations tick over. Hezron, Ram, Aminadab, Nahshon, carrying the line quietly out of Genesis, through Egypt, through the wilderness to the edge of the promised land. And there the road runs up against a wall. Jericho, the shut, defended, doomed city standing between this family and everything they were promised. And built into that wall, with a window facing out over the plain, is a house belonging to a woman no respectable record would ever name. It's night. 2 strangers are about to knock on her door. She's about to make the fastest, coldest, most clear-eyed bet in the Old Testament, and hang the receipt in her window, in scarlet, where you'll recognize it. Same basic move as Tamar's, different city, same nerve. Next time, Rahab. One last thing, and then I'll let you go. Everything in the series comes out of a book, The Family Nobody Would Have Chosen. The long version of what you've just heard, name by name. Judah and Tamar have a chapter each, and hers is the longer one. Her name is on the cover, in the tree, in the same handwriting as everyone else's, which is more or less the argument of the whole book. Same road, same guest list. More time to walk it. The link's in the description. Next time, the spy who bet on the right side and won everything.